So, good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Let's begin our webinar. On behalf of the Ministry of the Environment of the Czech Republic, I would like to welcome you at the webinar called Light Pollution 2021. My name is Anna Pasková, and I'm the director of the Department of Environmental Policy and Sustainable Development at the Czech Ministry of the Environment. And I will guide you through today's webinar, which is held as a partner event of the European Green Week 2021, Zero Pollution. At the beginning, let me say some information about the webinar rules. The webinar is recorded and it will be placed at our web page afterwards. Please stay muted during the whole webinar. Also, if you would like to pose questions, the questions will be taken through Slido. The number is 589609 and you can see it on the screen. So please log in. At your questions whenever you would like to. If the question is posed to a specific speaker, please write it there and we will take the questions. We will use Slido also for several polls and we will tell you about it during the webinar. Next slide, please. So our today's seminar is called Light Pollution, and light pollution should be viewed as another source of pollution. Our ambition as the Czech Ministry of the Environment is to support the debate and raise awareness about this issue. Therefore, the goal of this webinar is to present the impacts of light pollution and measures that can be taken, and also introduce interesting projects on the EU level, but also our national projects. So during the webinar, we will have the short introduction, then we will take a look on a specific case of island La Palma. Then we will go to Opava, then to Czech city Brno, and at the end we will look at the new project under Horizon 2020. So let's begin with our first speaker, Mr. Michal Bareš. Michal Bareš is a lifetime astronomer. He is a member of Czech Astronomical Society and International Dark Sky Association, and he focused on field measurement and mapping of the astronomical light pollution. So, Michal, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Anna. Good morning, everyone. I'm happy that I can speak in this event about the topic that is very personal to me, because I have been, as an astronomer, directly impacted by light pollution. My presentation is supposed to be just a quick introduction into the topic. I believe that it's nothing new for most of you, but we still have some guests who are not really familiar with that. So what is light pollution? Well, light pollution is actually a disturbance of the night environment, of the natural night environment, with artificial light that we as humans are producing. And we can understand under the term light pollution basically any negative or adverse effects of the artificial lighting. It carries a lot of economical costs. It can have negative ecological and serious health consequences. So it's definitely a topic that deserves our attention. Light pollution, unfortunately, accompanies all the exterior artificial lighting that we are producing. So it is related to usage of street lights. It is related to usage of advertising, billboards, sky beamers. It can be the lighting of factories, warehouses, various commercial and shopping centers. We can think about railways, roads, parking lots, ports. It is, of course, accompanying also the illumination of sport fields and stadium lighting. It can be also part of illumination of the buildings and monuments. And as well, it is related to the interior lighting that's where the light is escaping the building towards outside. So we can think about illuminated greenhouses. We can think about office buildings that are built from glass mostly these days, but also the ordinary houses where we all live. But fortunately, this is a kind of pollution that can be quite easily mitigated and eliminated just by proper planning and then executing the illumination that we are using in the external environment. Next. Here on a couple of pictures, you can see the most prominent examples or most striking examples of the light pollution caused by badly thought and planned and badly executed lighting or illumination. So you can see LED billboard, you can see illumination of some monument, you can see illumination of a church. And this is, of course, something that we would not like to see in the nighttime nature. Can we go to the next slide, please? In the city centers, we have a lot of such examples, like a boat on a river that's illuminated through whole night, some advertisement as well. We have a car dealership using incredibly bright light that's shining all around. And we have some industrial place with luminaires that are tilted horizontally, so it's shining into the surrounding areas, including the suburbs where people live. So we can see it basically everywhere. If you go outside at night and just look around, you will find many cases of illumination and luminaires that are just not properly designed, not properly used, and which are causing the unnecessary light pollution and which are causing these adverse effects. Can we skip to the next slide, please? One of the forms of light pollution is so-called light trespass. It's a situation that where the luminaires are shining into the areas that are not supposed to be illuminated. So if our goal and aim was to illuminate the street or the road, there is no point of shining into neighboring gardens or into the windows of neighboring houses. Unfortunately, this is pretty common situation in many of our cities and towns and villages, where we have the street lights that are shining directly into the windows, and the inhabitants cannot sleep and relax well. So this is example of light trespass. Can we skip to the next one? We can find many examples of glare caused by improperly installed and used luminaires. When the light source is shining directly to your eyes, you basically cannot see anything else, because the contrast between the light source itself and the surrounding environment is so high that our eyes cannot adapt to it, and we are focusing on the bright light source in the scene, and we are not able to see anything else, just the bright light source itself. And this is again pretty common. It's usually caused by some commercial or industrial lighting that's not properly installed. Quite often we hear about so-called security lights that are actually reducing the security by causing the glare, so we cannot see anything else but the light source itself. But it can be also caused by these modern LED billboards that are incredibly bright. And if the street lighting is misdirected, it can also cause the glare. So skip to the next one. Very, very important part of light pollution is or are the effects on the nature. Maybe you know, or you may not know, that majority of all animal species are nocturnal. So introducing artificial light into the nighttime environment is causing a complete change of their habitat in that sense. So the animals, as well as we humans, have evolved for a million years in the environment where there was dark at night. but suddenly during the last, let's say, 100 of years, we started to illuminate the nighttime environment, and this is causing a huge change in the environment, and it can have consequences. It can impact the balance between predators and prey. It can change the behavior of many animal species. And of course, because some species are attracted to the light while other species are trying to avoid the light, it can and it will change the regional or spatial activity of these species, and it also changes the time when these species are active. Skip to next one. We know about cases where birds are colliding with the illuminated structures. It's a huge problem mainly in the cities where they have the skyscrapers that are illuminated or that are made from glass, and people are using light inside, and the birds are just colliding with the buildings, and they are dying because of that. We know that insects, especially flying insects, are attracted by the light, so they are then circling around the light sources until complete exhaustion and death. So instead of living its natural lifetime cycle in the nature, they are attracted to the light sources that we are using in our cities. So this is again having impacts on the nature. We can talk about the impact on the sea turtles. We can talk about impact on bats. Many species and organisms living in the water are impacted by usage of artificial light, and there is quite a lot of examples where the, let's say, not careful illumination of our cities and towns can have these negative impacts on the nature. Can we skip to the next one, please? And of course, just as animals and the living nature is impacted by the artificial light and the exposure to the artificial light, especially during the night where we are adapted to the darkness, it can impact also us humans, and it can have quite significant impacts on our health. So it's a health risk factor to be exposed to bright light during the night, especially in the long term. So the long-term exposure to the artificial light at night can cause sleep disorders, can disrupt our circadian rhythms, and this leads to the tidiness and reduce work performance during the next day. It can lead to various mental disorders, and it's showing up that it's actually a risk factor for development of some kinds of cancer. So this is again pretty serious topic. And one important thing is that the color of the light that we are being exposed to really matters. So not all light is equal. It turns out that the light that's toward the yellowish or orangish tones is less harmful than the light that's rather bluish, or the light that's with a significant component in the blue part of the spectrum. So this is again something that we should keep in mind when really designing, planning, and using the light at night. Can we skip to the next one, please? As I said, introduction of artificial light into the nighttime environment completely changed the scene. So if we climb up on the mountaintop and look around, we will see thousands and tens of thousands of light sources. This is something artificial, something that don't really belong to the night nature, and it's changing the appearance of the landscape, and it's of course also changing the appearance of the night sky. So the light that's scattered in the air or reflected from the clouds is causing the night sky to brighten, and this is what's causing the change of the appearance of the landscape. Unfortunately, the light pollution issue is reaching quite far, up to, let's say, several hundreds of kilometers. So it's not enough to just leave the city and be in the darkness. It's not working like that. You really need to travel for tens or thousands of kilometers to really escape the light produced by the cities altogether. Can we skip to the next slide, please? And I, as an astronomer, see it quite significantly how the appearance of the night sky and the starry sky has changed over the last couple of decades. On the left picture, you can see the natural dark sky that's almost not impacted by light pollution at all. So you can actually, when you are in such a place, you can feel that you are in the nature that is not hurt by the human activity. You can feel the darkness. While if you are in a place like on the right picture, which is image of the night sky taken in the city, this is environment that's different from the day, but I wouldn't say that we can call it night anymore, because there is just so much light that it doesn't resemble night anymore, unfortunately. So this is a serious issue for both professional research and for the casual stargazers like amateur astronomers or the general public as well. Skip to the next one. The artificial light is accompanying humans everywhere. So wherever there are people living, they are using the light, and this is causing drastic change of the environment at night. And you can see it on the light pollution map of Europe. And actually, you can see that there are no completely dark places left anymore. So those areas that are either black or gray, it's not available, at least not in the Central Europe anymore. It's a sad fact that the majority of EU population has almost no chance to experience the true night without any light pollution. So if you live somewhere in a densely populated region, your chances of experiencing the true night are pretty low. Of course, light pollution is just another kind of pollution that we as a civilization are producing. So it's in addition to the air pollution, to the soil pollution, to the water pollution, we are adding the light pollution, and it can also impact the parts of the nature that are impacted by the other kinds of pollution. So it's just increasing the pressure that we are making. There are still some really dark places like preserved in the world, but those places are pretty fragile. And I believe that we will hear about it in one of the following presentations that will be about island La Palma, which is one of these sites that we need really to preserve, because the quality of the night environment is pretty good there, and it is still accessible to ordinary people, because you can fly there and you can experience the beautiful starry sky. So it has become actually a tourist destination because of that. But what I wanted to say is that the nighttime environment is really something that needs and that deserves to be protected. So it was overlooked. It has been overlooked for a long time, but hopefully we will see some activity in this area, some activities towards the protection of the nighttime environment, also on the, let's say, government level or international level, and not just on a local level when some communities are trying to preserve their nighttime environment, but they have no support from the officials from the government. So let's hope for a better future and for I wouldn't say darker future, but for the less light polluted future. So thank you for your attention, and I'm giving the word back to Anna.
Thank you, Michal. Thank you, Michal. Indeed, the night time deserves to be protected. Since the Czech Republic is organizing this webinar, I will add some information on what we are doing here in the Czech Republic on the government level. Next slide, please. The Czech government started to recognize the light pollution as an issue in 2017 when an inter-ministerial working group on light pollution was created. In the same year, we produced information to the government why we should tackle the problem of light pollution, and year after, the first action plan on light pollution was adopted. Since then, I would say several things happens. The most important, for example, was last year when we adopted methodological instruction for authorized persons within environmental impact assessment, which is important when you approve, for example, industrial sites, etc. And we embedded light pollution as one of the pressures that should be paid attention to. Also, last year there was a public hearing in Senate in our upper chamber of Parliament on negative effects of light pollution, and all the senators adopted that the government should solve the problem of light pollution, and that it's a very emerging issue. For next years, we are planning to adopt technical standards on light pollution to be better able to take systemic approach when we are building something or regulating something. And we are working on include light pollution also within our new Building Act, which is foreseen to enter in force in 2023. Next slide, please. So far, we are trying to support public lighting through our subsidy scheme, but only public lighting that we deem has a lower impact on nightlife. So since 2017, we have subsidy scheme for public lighting renovation, but those we have also some mandatory things like that the maximum correlated color temperature for areas of national park is 2,700 kelvins, and for protected landscape and other areas, the whole Czech Republic, we have it as a bonus. So our experience is that most of the cities went also for 2,700 kelvins to get this bonus. And we are ready to prepare also this public lighting renovation subsidy scheme in coming years. And we will still maintain those aspects of light pollution abatement within it. Next slide, please. As we mean it seriously with light pollution, we included this as a topic in our state environmental policy 2030, which was adopted in this January. And our goal is to lower the light pollution or decrease the light pollution till 2020. And we will come up with monitoring indicators as well. Also, as our Czech presidency of the European Council is coming next year, we would like to raise this issue also during our Czech presidency to stir the debate on European level and also international level. And also we are welcoming the new debate under the CIE standards and the debate under biodiversity protection, not only in the Czech Republic, but also in our neighboring countries, for example, Germany. And this week we published updated Simply Lighting Guide, not only for the cities, but also for everyone who would like to have guiding lines how to use the light responsibly. So I would end at this point, and let's move with the presentations. I would like to repeat just that you can ask questions through Slido. The event code is 589609. Please add the questions and we will take them after presentations. And our next presenter is Mrs. Ana Castañeda Perez, who is the head of the general section of the Cabildo de la Palma Tourism Services. And she is also the island manager of the Interreg Europe Nightlight project focused on night pollution and the development of astrotourism. And she's also manager of the multi-event Astrofest in La Palma. Anna, the floor is yours.